Okay, hello everybody. My name is Matthias Baur, and we start now the webinar in the UFI Education Center with the little bit thought-provoking or provoking title, Why are exhibition companies so bad when it comes to online? And I will tell you a little bit how I had the idea about it. Okay, great. Let's start. You need to scroll down on the right-hand side. The slide, they will not scroll down automatically when I scroll them down. So there is a scroll bar on the right-hand side, and there you can go from slide to slide, and you will find a number or the number of the slide always on the bottom right-hand side, and I will always try to mention on which slide I am during the presentation. So I go now to slide number 2, where I tell you a little bit about myself and my background. I started my career in the exhibition industry a relatively long time ago in 1999 at Messe Frankfurt as online manager, and then moved on from there first to Reed Exhibitions in Düsseldorf. Worked for 6 years in the Düsseldorf office of Reed Exhibitions, supported the online activities mainly of Reed Exhibitions Germany and Switzerland. And in 2007, I moved to the headquarters in Richmond, in London, and worked there as the global e-business director. Also as the e-business director for Asia South and for the region Central and Eastern Europe. In 2010, I had a little bit of a career change in the same company. Whilst I was continuing working on e-business, I also supported the colleagues of Reed Exhibitions in Asia on business development. And then in 2012, I moved from Reed to UVM and managed the food ingredients portfolio of UVM in the position of Group Portfolio Director. This January, I quit my job at UVM and came back to London, where my family is living. And now, since 6 weeks, I'm running my own consultancy company called MBB, and my main topic is consulting the exhibition industry on strategy, mergers and acquisitions, e-business, sales, content, and features. Okay, alongside all these jobs I just mentioned, I also worked for many years in the German association AUMA, and I'm the vice chairman of the ICT group from UFI, and try to support the industry, the exhibition industry, in these positions. Good, perfect. So far regarding my background. Now, please go to slide number 3 about this presentation. What I try to show you in the next 30 to 45 minutes is my thoughts around the topic e-business and the exhibition industry, and how the exhibition industry is in general approaching this big and wider topic, e-business. After I talked about the situation we are facing in our companies, I try to give you a framework and some anchor points how the topic e-business can be addressed strategically. And after that, in the final chapter, I give you 2 or 3 slides how an e-business strategy could be rolled out and what would be the KPIs when you start rolling out the e-business strategy in your company. Good. So please move to slide number 4, where you can see the title again, Why are exhibition companies so bad when it comes to online? Actually, that was a question somebody asked me after I presented at an UFI Congress in Shenzhen around 3 or 4 years ago. That time I was e-business director for Reed Exhibitions, and I presented the activities of the companies and how this company is approaching the topic. And after that, a guy came to me in a presentation and said, well, e-business is a big topic, and we hear it from many other industries, from the music industry, from the social media industry, from the hotel industry, what they do to support their business models. And it felt a little bit for him that exhibition companies are not doing enough, and that exhibition companies are far behind the opportunities of what they could do to support their business model through e-business. And he simply asked me the questions, why are exhibition companies so bad when it comes to online? And in the first reaction, I was surprised to get this question, but I couldn't give him an answer spontaneously. So we had lunch together in the break of the Congress, and at the table there was a very lively discussion, what blocks us to make the most out of that channel e-business that was given to us 10 or 15 years ago. To be very clear, we have many bright people in the industry, and many exhibition organizers have done amazing projects and have amazing people working on e-business projects and executing very good ideas. So I don't want to say that the industry is absolutely horrible when it comes to e-business, but I think we all had the moment where we felt there is be more, and there is more we could do, and we have such a close connection to the industry. Our shows are sometimes the anchor point for innovation for an entire industry, sometimes regional, sometimes global. So are we doing really enough to give the industry what they could do with the e-business? And do we use our strengths really enough to roll out new functionalities and new communication channels? And I think the answer is very often no, we don't do enough. And I try to analyze why that could be. Okay, great. So far the title. Let's go to slide number 5, where I start talking about the situation. So what is the situation? How we work with e-business. First of all, what occurred to me in the last 15 years when I worked in the associations and I worked in my different roles in the different exhibition organizers, is that exhibition companies invest in e-business very often in cycles. We have sometimes a phase where we have very little or even zero investment in e-business, and this is turning into a cycle when a company, depending on the size of the company, investing a lot of money into e-business. So innovation pressure was built in the company, maybe influenced from outside factors, maybe the management of the company heard about all these new amazing tools that came via Facebook, that came via mobile, that came via WhatsApp and all the other channels. And the feeling occurred in the management of the company, okay, we have to make our business model fit for the next 10 years, and then we have to invest a lot in e-business. Sometimes it can be 1 million, sometimes 10 millions, but always a lot of money. This innovation curve followed then by functionalities and new channels, discovered very often that they don't fulfill what they have promised at the beginning of the project, and that the success was not really there. It's a prime example is, I think, 6 or 7 years, we all talked about communities, and we all said, which sound very logical, we have the community in the show hall, and we have the community on the venue. Why don't we have the community online in the e-business space? So let's become the Facebook of the industry. Let's become the LinkedIn for my show, or let's become the community for my show. So we tried to develop community platforms, and we realized, okay, we developed something for a lot of money. We sent it online. We sent out a couple of emails. The industry is kind of not saying, hurrah, guys, this is exactly what we were waiting for. thank you very much. We will engage from now on your platform and not on LinkedIn anymore, which means that the big investment phase can turn into a depression phase because the success didn't came that was hoped, and very often the commercial success also didn't came, which means that these companies who invested a lot of money are following with a phase of investing very little or nothing for the next 2 to 3 years until a point is reached when the innovation pressure is so high that a big investment is following. I think a lesson we can learn from this behavior, and we all have done it to a larger or to a less extent, is that investing in e-business is not easy. Sometimes we are over-investing and sometimes we are under-investing. But to have a KPI or to have a framework that tells us exactly the right amount of investment at this point in time is in e-business much, much harder than investing something else, which we know much better. For example, our venue. There we know when we build a hall, it's a big investment for now. If you make a good job and fill the hall with square meters, with exhibitors, we will have our ROI over time. Doing this easy calculation in e-business is not so easy. So we need to find the right way to invest in e-business. Okay, I move to slide number 6 now. Still talking about the innovation, still talk about the situation. On that slide, you see a grid. On the left-hand axis, you see user satisfaction, and on the other axis, you see the use technology and all the little dots, Web 2.0, blog, user-generated content, social media marketing, email, and all the other opportunities we have with e-business show how many percentage of the user is using it and how many percentage of the user are appreciating this activity. So when we say, for example, on the top right-hand corner, usability, the easy use of a website or the easy use of a mobile application, nearly 100% of the users are using it, and also it adds a lot to the user satisfaction. That grid model is already 2 years ago. So when you have a close look, or when you give your e-business guide this grid model, you will see that a couple of things are already missing. So we don't have really mobile apps here. We don't have non-email communication tools like WhatsApp, and other things are missing. And this is symbolizing, and that is also the reason why I show this grid, is that the situation in e-business is permanently changing. And this is also a reason why it is so hard to find the right amount on investment in e-business. Because imagine I have a project starting now. I put for my company quite a big chunk of money into an investment. For sure, my goal is to make my business fit for the next 5 years. So the project is starting, I'm investing the money. 5 months later, somebody turns up and tells me, but now the hot thing is WhatsApp. Or now the hot thing is a mobile app. Or now the hot thing is something else. What do I do with my big investment? I just started 5 months ago. Have I failed in that investment? Do I need to shift my investment? It's not an easy answer to that. But purely the fact that the situation in e-business is permanently changing, sometimes on a daily basis, very often on a monthly basis, underlines even more that we need better KPIs, how to invest in the whole topic, e-business and online, and that we need to have a process in place that simply deals with the fact that we are living in a very, very much changing environment, which is much quicker than it was 10 years ago. Okay, I move to slide number 7, where I talk about the situation on how we talk with each other. On the right-hand side, you see some amazing tattoos, very fashionable at the moment in the younger generation. And on the left-hand side, you see a sentence, what I want to tell you with that slide. So please let me know if you understand the sentence or not. I researched it. I didn't understand it completely, but now I can read it. But the background of the slide is simply that different generations by now talk different languages. And these generations are in our company. I will say something on the following slide a little bit more about it. Problem is when we start talking an online language in the younger generation and a more business language in the older generation, the generations in our workforce don't understand each other anymore. And I had, over my years, people coming to me, and I had discussions, and I've done a lot of workshops on e-business, where people told me in the breaks, very often I didn't communicate an e-business idea because I was scared that I phrase it in a stupid way. Or I didn't said something about an online communication channel because I was not sure anymore if that is maybe not a hot thing anymore, and it's maybe old-fashioned when I say, hey, we should do Facebook campaigns. Maybe the whole thing moved on, and maybe something else is now much, much better. So before I put myself in a stupid pocket, I better hold back my idea, or I better not talk about it anymore, because the younger generation who knows so much more about it than I do, they might think I'm stupid. And this is a real problem, because when we have an environment where people don't talk to each other and share ideas because they have slightly different way of talking, how should we develop business? So it's a situation is simply that you need to understand each other better, and you need to find a way that you can talk again with each other. Okay. Slide number 8, where you see the guy in the desert, is also a part of the situation which occurred to me over time. And it happened to myself in the early stage of my career. If you work in e-business, if you are an e-business manager, or if you are even, you made your career and you became a director, you are an e-business director, you will notice very, very early in your career that you are somehow special because you work on e-business, something nobody else is doing in your company. And that's great in the early days, because to be special is always a great thing. And people love it. It can have one effect, that when the company wants to innovate, when the company wants to do something new, when the company wants to invest, they come to the e-business people. They come to you and ask for help and say, we want to do something new. We want to be better. You are the e-business guy. What can we do? Please help us. Which is a great thing, because you have a stage in your company where you can shine. Many people looking for the stage, and you have it. A problem could be that it's misunderstood that the e-business guy always has to innovate. Even that the e-business director feels the pressure that he has to come up with the next hot thing every 2 months. I talked about this as a problem of how should we invest when the next hot thing is always something else in the next 2 months. That can be even a boomerang to your e-business people, that they think it's their duty to come up with something hot every 2 months. So they stop thinking business. They're looking for the next big thing, and they want to impress the management on a 2-month cycle with the next big thing, which is not in the sense of your business, and it's not in the sense of consistency of your business. The other effect that can have is that your e-business people feel lonely over time. And I had many e-business people who said exactly that. They said, I'm the special guy. I'm always asked when it comes to innovation, which is great. Problem is, I come up with ideas how to enhance the model of shows or how to improve something, but nobody understands me. Nobody understands my language, or sometimes I had conversation where I said we could do so much more, but in my position I'm simply not influential enough to make that change happen. What happens afterwards? The great guy you asked for innovation 3 years starts feeling lonely in your company and is leaving the company, is going to another industry or is going to another job. So it's an HR problem that as much e-business is not embedded in our company cultures from time to time, the e-business people are also not embedded in our culture from time to time. Bringing these people into your culture and bringing these people really in the strategic process and liberating these people from coming up with the next sexy hot topic on a 2-month basis will do your business a big favor, because it's getting much more in your culture, and you need to face, or you need to discuss if this HR problem might be a problem in your company culture and structure. Okay, now I come to slide number 9. Situation. The exhibition industry doesn't have the pressure to innovate as much as the music industry or the hotel industry. Why? Because our business model is pretty good, is still very, very good. And I chose a picture on slide number 9 of Helmut Kohl and François Mitterrand, how they are holding hands in the 80s. And what they have done when they met at this meeting, they developed trust between each other, and it changed the entire way how Germany and France has done politics together for the next 10 to 15 years. Why could they build these two politicians? Because they met. It's face to face. So we are exhibition organizers. We are in the trust business. We are the people who create platforms so that can people meet, look in each other's eyes, holding hands if they want, but more important, building trust to make business. Our business model is still very good, and we never had the pressure to innovate as much as the exhibition industry. Some people of us think the storm that was hit by e-business to these industries like music or hotel, it didn't hit us. I think it will hit us, but a little bit later. Slide number 10. It's again the generations. And this slide is actually, there is a lot of danger for our industry in this slide. What you can see on that slide is all the different generations, from the builders to the boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z. I'm personally 1970, I'm Generation X, so I belong to the slightly older generation. Generation Y are the people who were born from 1980 to 1999. And the big difference between these generations is how people make decisions. There is a statistic that people made a decision 10 years ago to spend $10,000, and they needed around 3 weeks to that. So, for example, they booked a holiday. It cost $10,000. It was an expensive holiday, maybe a honeymoon. They went for 3 weeks. They went to travel agent, and then they made up their mind. This decision to spend $10,000 nowadays can be done in 2 or 3 minutes. When they get recommendations online, go to the Maldives and book this hotel, you save a lot of money. So the decision-making process to spend money is changing between the generations. If these generations are entering the workforce, they will also make their business decisions on a different scale. And they will question much more if they need to go to an exhibition to make a buying decision or to be on top of their market. And this is something we need to prepare ourselves. It's not too much visible now, but it will be very visible in 5 years. And look in your show statistic, you might find that the average age of your show visitor is getting older. Sometimes 40 years, sometimes 43 years, sometimes 45 years. Ask yourself the questions where the young people are on your exhibition. Why the people who are 38 are not so much coming anymore like they came 10 years ago, and you might discover that you could have a generation problem in your visitor audience. So far, all the different factors for the current situation we are facing. On slide 11, I'm summarizing it very briefly. So we have the business factors. We have a permanently changing situation. This is reality. We have different behaviors between generations. We have not that commercial pressure to innovate like the music or hotel industry had. We have no definition of what success is. It's very often feeling based. Online has a different working cycle than events, and we have no clear investment strategies. When you think about your companies, some factors might be not true, some factors might be true, but I think one of these factors, sometimes all, sometimes some, are true for all of our companies in the exhibition industry. Do we have a process that takes all these factors into account? I haven't seen it so far. Some companies might have. I think many companies need to define the process that take these business factors into account. Okay, I come to the next chapter now. In the chapter 2, I try to give a framework that could help you to think about the situation you are in and to think about how you could create an e-business strategy that takes everything I just said into account. On the first slide, it's slide number 12, I asked the question, what is e-business? And I think whilst everybody is working on e-business, a precise definition of what e-business is, and more important, what is e-business for your company and what is e-business for your project, is something that needs to be defined very precisely. As better you can define what e-business is for you, as better you are prepared to roll out a strategy. E-business has many different aspects. It could be services, it could be marketing, it could be revenue, it could be data. And all these different aspects have different pockets of what you could do. So when you want to offer a better service, it could be a better ordering process, which then could be revenue. It could be communication, which leads you to social media. It could be a better mobile strategy, or it could be segmentation. Sit down with your department and think what e-business is for you. Define it and write it down as a basis for all your future work. Get all stakeholders together, because what e-business might be for the show team is a totally different thing to what it is for the IT department or for a management. So have a common definition of what e-business is in your company. I move to slide number 13 now. And this slide is see the big picture. At the beginning of my presentation, I said the situation is changing all the time, which is both a problem or an opportunity, depending on how you want to see it. If you think, oh my God, we have the next hot thing, then it's a problem. But if with every channel an opportunity is coming, it's more a positive thing. If you haven't seen the big picture at one point in time, you are very vulnerable that you invest in something and 3 months later a consultancy agency like me is turning up and said, why have you not invested in the other channel that exists? Or why have you not invested in the other hot topics? When you have defined the big picture and when you have decided what you want to do and more important, what you don't want to do, then you armed yourself against people turning up and telling you you're investing in the wrong arm. And even more important, you have done informed decisions. You can say, okay, I'm not investing into mobile because I want to wait what's going on or how this channel is developing. It is an informed decision in that case. Review this picture every 6 months or every 12 months in a strategy cycle and review, has the big picture changed? Do we have new components? Do we have new channels? Is something new on the market? And make your decisions again. Do you want to invest in something, or do you not want to invest in another thing? And you will recognize as management or as an e-business person that the bigger picture is not so confusing anymore when you have a process to review it every 6 months. As the next component of the framework, I go now to page number 14, and I pick up a point I made earlier in the situation, talk a common language. What you see on this slide are the user behaviors of the different generations I already introduced to you. Don't let your business down by allowing people not to talk to each other. I've done a management workshop a while ago, and it was crucial confrontation. So it was actually facing problem situations in your team. And a very interesting thing I learned in that workshop is that silence always comes before violence, which means before people go in an argument with each other, they don't talk to each other for a while. And this behavior between the different generations you have in your company is sometimes silence. It's that people don't talk to each other because they are scared, they could not understand each other. And I experienced it in my last job as portfolio director. I had a very, very bright guy in my team, in my marketing team. He was responsible for social media, very intelligent guy. And he explained me Google remarketing, and only because I'm 44, he explained it to me in a way like I've never heard anything about online before. And I said to him, hey, don't worry, I was e-business director before in my career, so you don't need to explain to me what Google is. You can carry on. But for 2 or 3 meetings, he started explaining to me e-business like I've never heard it before. There's also a problem with the younger generation already assuming the older generation don't understand them anymore. The other way around, the example I used before, that people in more senior positions, they don't want to talk about online because they are scared to using words that might not be trendy anymore. Approach this problem in your organization and make sure people across cultures, across countries, across departments, but more important or equally important, across generations, talk business and understand each other. So on next slide, slide number 15, look at your structure. And when I go back the last 15 years, I very often have seen exhibition organizers putting e-business people either in IT or marketing. And very often it's also some kind of a cycle structure. So when an e-business person is in IT, the company is finding out after 3-4 years, okay, that's not really working, because then the person is getting specialized about data, not so much specialized about communication. So then they shift the person into marketing, which is great for communication, but after 3-4 years, they are discovering, okay, he is a great communicator, but he has no clue about data and data segmentation. sometimes then they put the e-business people in the portfolios, which tripled the cost, because now suddenly you need 3 e-business managers instead of 1 director. So all didn't really work. Start looking at the reality, maybe at your own private reality. E-business is pretty much in all different aspects of your life and your working life. And therefore, e-business also needs to be treated in your organization as an discipline in its own right. I think an e-business director should be a consultant to the company, and he should not fall in the pocket marketing or IT. He should teamwork with these pockets. And how to set it up in a way that you don't shift around the structure every 3 to 4 years is something, again, extremely important. Also, to approach the problem that your e-business guy should not be the special but lonely guy. He should be somebody of you, somebody of your team who's doing business for you, hopefully longer than 5 years. Reviewing the structure is extremely important. And the last slide of this chapter, the framework, is define success. Define what success is, what a KPI is when a project was successful and when a project was not successful. On the picture, you see a road crossing, extremely nicely engineered, that people can have to stop and watch out if a car is coming. Unfortunately, nobody ever used it. People can pass it very easily. So what is success here? That you build this safe road crossing, or that people can conveniently cross the road. As more as you have seen the bigger picture, what I said before, as more as it is clear what e-business is to you, what I said before as well, as easier it is for your organization to define what success is. And I had examples in my career where big projects carried out, and then you presented them to key accounts, and they said, oh, I don't like that the website is red. So that the website is red or green or blue was a KPI that this project was not successful. This is not the way how it should work, because you might have invested a lot of money in that red or blue or green website. So it must be very, very clear is when you invest money, what you want to achieve and how you measure if the things you have achieved are successful or not. But if you have done all things before and in the framework, it will be also much, much easier to define these success factors. Okay, summarizing the chapter framework is define what e-business is for you. Draw the big picture, see at once the big picture, ask the e-business people to show you the big picture. Make sure the people in your organization speak one language and not an online and an offline language. Think about your structure and define what success is. If you have done all these things, you have achieved 2 things for your organization. First of all, you can set up a strategy process on e-business. And secondly, you can do meaningful investments, because they are based on a framework. Good. On the last 3 slides, I give only 3 examples, and it can't be more than examples of what you could do to roll it out. So you're on the stage, you analyze the situation for your company, you've done a framework for your company, so now you want to roll it out. The 3 slides are just an example, because how it would be or how the rollout would be is really up to your strategy, but I think they're very useful examples. First, think about a support structure. At some point, your e-business strategy will face your customer, and your customer will have questions. Who's answering these questions? Is it coming to your show team? Is it coming to your e-business team? Is it coming to a support team? When you don't talk a common language in your company, you already can't answer the questions of your customers. I found it very useful if the customer is first asking the show team, because these are the people they normally know, and if the show team then structured is passing on questions, requests, maybe requests for services to your e-business team, but how the structure looks like, you have to work it out in your organization for your culture. Second slide, slide number 19, is define a rollout strategy. And I try to avoid talking about specific exhibition organizers, but the exhibition organizer I have in my mind when I talk about that slide is indeed a unit of Reed Exhibitions. It was Australia, because I think the colleagues in Australia have done an amazing job when they rolled out their e-business strategy. When I had the honor to be a part of that rollout strategy, and the strategy was based on 4 points there, purely and entirely came from the customer need on the top left corner. So they were thinking about, what does a customer want? Does he want click, lead, page impressions? No, a customer wants visibility, and the customer wants to be in contact with other customers. So they created the online product based on the customer need, and they talk the customer language. By doing that, they have done workshops to bring the internal team on board, to explain the rollout strategy to the team, and then they rolled it out to the customer as a company and not as an e-business department anymore. It all can result in a great commercial success, but it is a cycle coming from the customer, creating an online product, bringing the team on board, make it a common company product or a company project, and then rolling it out in a structured way to a customer is a good framework for me to approach an e-business project. And on the last slide, push your e-business people on the show floor. They should be in the aisles. They should be at the counter. They should talk to your visitors, and they should talk to your exhibitors. I had a couple of conversations at congresses where I had IT people telling me they work for an exhibition organizer. They have never been at an exhibition, and that can't be the case. I personally would put an e-business director I hire for 2 months in a show and make them understand why people make business when they meet face to face. If your e-business people don't understand what the beauty of our business model is, they can't develop any beauty that comes from e-business and enhance this business model. So connect your e-business people to what you do, organizing shows. Last summary and also last slide of the presentation is, so what have I shown you? Situations, go through the factors that might block you to create a good e-business strategy. Think about a framework. I gave some points and some slides. Which framework could work for you in your organization? And once you have done it, roll it out together as a team. And the last sentence I want to say in the presentation, I've heard it in a conversation a week ago. I think we all thought at some point the online storm has passed us. The online storm has hit the music industry, has hit many other industries. Oh, thank God, our business model is so great. It has passed us. I think it's wrong. I think the storm will hit us. And the problem is, and that might be even a bigger problem, that we think it has passed us, because then it will hit us even stronger. And it will hit us when generation Y is entering the management positions, because they will question much, much more based on their current behavior if the model exhibition is still the model we need in 20 years, or we need in 25 years, or maybe even earlier in 15 years. So don't think the storm has passed you. Think about how the storm can hit you, and then work on e-business. Okay, great. This is a presentation. I hope it was useful. I have seen that I got one question already. In which e-business tool would you invest your money when it comes to serving a show industry community year-round? How can we increase the user satisfaction, interest in online tools for the exhibition industry? Do you feel that the exhibition industry is facing a huge problem because they are not really embracing online opportunities and do not dare to take the necessary risk? Okay, I go through it bit by bit. Which tool I would invest my money to serve the show industry? There's one statistic I've heard about, and this statistic is saying content of the future is by 30% the content you show on your website, and by 70% shared content. So which means content people are consuming via other platforms, via LinkedIn, via chats in WhatsApp, via YouTube and via other platforms. So when people don't read about you on your website anymore, or they do it only by 30%, then you need to make sure they're reading about you, about your products, about your exhibitors, about your visitors, about your show, about the industry, wherever it is convenient for them to spend their time online. So to answer the question, I would invest my money in investigating how people consume the information that are necessary to push my business model forward. And if it's shared content, as I just described it, I would invest it in the platform that is displaying my content, or even better, the content of my exhibitors on my platform. But more important, that is so flexible that I can share this content on all channels. My user is online now and is so flexible, and that would be the second part of my investment, that I can shift this content sharing and shift this service sharing to the platform that might come up in a year. It has a lot to do with how you work with data and how you work with flexibility, but investing in having your channels and your content so flexible that you can react to the permanently changing situation is a very strategic project. Second is, do you see a risk in that we are not embracing online enough? Yeah, I think I said it on the last slide. I see a massive risk, and I see even a bigger risk because I think I have the feeling we think we are too secure because our business model works too well. I see it. I have two children. One is 14 and one is 20, and I was the e-business director myself for many years. But when I just see how my children are consuming information, looking for information and making decisions based on what they have consumed, I see a massive risk. It shows sometimes are communication platforms, and communication is online. So there is a big risk not to face this reality. But I want to avoid saying, "Oh my God, the world will disappear." So I think this is the wrong way to look at e-business when you draw this horrifying picture. I think we just need to sit down and discover a process and define a process and a framework how to deal with e-business. I think we haven't done it, and that's a risk. Question number 2 is, how can we increase the user satisfaction interest in online tools for the exhibition industry go to the show floor and talk to them. It's I rolled out the directory once. It's a long time ago, and nobody got it. No exhibitor. We could put products online. We've done what everybody has done it that time with my team, saying, "Hey, we have this now. Is that not amazing? And your products are online." And to be frank, the exhibitors didn't got it that time. So what have we done with the team? We went on the show floor with cameras, with the photo shooting. We said to the exhibitors, "Can I have your product?" I take a picture, I load it up to the profile for you. I bring your product back, and then I show you how it looks, and I show you some statistics around it as well. This is how we got exhibitors excited about what we are doing. So don't be when you do something online, it's also good to go offline, to go to a show, to build trust and show what you do online. Other thing is do an exhibitor and visitor advisory board and talk to them and ask them what they want to do and what would be beneficial for them. If you do it at such an early stage, you have already much more the buy-in of your key stakeholders. Question number 3 is, do you feel that the exhibition industry is facing a huge problem because they are not really embracing online opportunities and do not dare to take the necessary risks? Okay, I think we had it already a little bit embedded in number 1. Yes, I think there is a hidden risk at the moment. What I said with this storm will hit us when Generation Y is entering the decision-making positions. I hope I answered all the questions you have. If you have any further questions, in the presentation is actually my email address. So please feel free to send me emails with your questions. I will do my best to answer them, or send Ufi an email with your questions. If anything was not clear enough, I will be available to give feedback. I want to thank you for listening to my webinar. I hope I could contribute a little bit to clarify what we do with the thing that's called ebusiness. And whoever was listening to the presentation, I hope I will meet you at some OFI meeting face to face. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Bye.